Welcome back to your very own live safari here in the Masai Mara. We have found that lioness we saw earlier. She has been harassed by hyenas. We're not quite sure which pride she belongs to yet, but she's hiding behind a little termite area on the edge of the little lugger that flows into the world famous marsh. Could she be part of the marsh pride returning? Well, only time is going to tell. Remember, if you have any questions for us, you can get hold of me on Twitter by using the hashtag Safari Live, and this is completely live. You are sitting in Kenya with me on Safari. Now, we saw all those hyenas on the wildebeest kill a little bit earlier, and we're not sure whether she might have killed that wildebeest or whether the hyenas did and she was attracted in to try scavenge off it. As lions are not scared of a bit of scavenging, although she was severely outnumbered this morning. There must have been about 40 hyenas in total around. Now, she is very hungry, and that's why we've decided to sit with her, because at some point today we're hoping that the gnormless wildebeest will gnormlessly wander right up, going meh, meh, and stumble upon her while she is lying in the grass. And there's still a lot of hyenas around. They're chasing each other around down there. You see, Dave? Down there. There's still a bit of action. See the tails up? Oh, that looks like a bit of a dominance display going on. See, the two of them are picking on one hyena. Oh, there's a third rushing in. It's what is always so interesting about hyenas, is there's always something going on. And with clans of this size, the social hierarchy is far more complex than we're used to in Southern Africa. So this clan is probably close to 80 or 90 strong, and they'll do a lot of their own hunting, but of course they are the ultimate opportunist, and if they can steal a meal, they will. You can see one of the wildebeest in front, and then some Egyptian goose, and one of those Grants or Tommies in the back. Difficult. Oh, Thompson's gazelles in the distance. And hyenas everywhere. Now, the wildebeest we're seeing around here are not part of the main migration that's moved from the Serengeti. They are part of the local migration that move from the northern conservancies down into the Mara. Oh, there's some crowned cranes up on the ridge as well. Is that a crowned crane? Yes, it is. A crowned crane in the distance. Now, hello Lynn. Lynn would like to know what sets off the Great Migration. Well, Lynn, it's not one thing, but a whole host of things. Fire plays an important role. So does the rain in particular, and of course grazing pressure. So the wildebeest will move throughout the Serengeti and Mara system, chasing a lot of the good grass. Now, a lot of people wonder why a wildebeest would be so silly as to jump the murderous Mara river, that is. It's because once they've finished the grazing on one side, they need to move to the other side, and local rains really play an important role in where they go. So even if they're on this side and all of a sudden it rains a little bit late on the triangle side, the wildebeest will move through there. And in the sheer numbers they move, the couple of thousand, and I do mean thousand, that die while crossing the river, either from drowning or from crocodiles or from broken legs, and top off with all the lions and hyenas and cheetah and leopard predation. That sheer massive numbers enables them to continue surviving. Now, I think her plan at the moment is to hope that the hyenas move off away from this area she's in eventually. I think she's eyeing out that warthog at the moment, but I think the grass is a bit short. You see the warty there, Dave? That's what she looks like she's looking at the moment. So there is a plethora of food around, but on the short grass sometimes it's a little bit challenging for her to get a bit closer to it. Bye-bye. Definitely. Just go into YouTube and type in Safari Live, and if you want to ask me questions, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. I'm afraid not, otherwise I've got to make you sign lots of pieces of paper.
Safari Live.
Safari Live, yes. Awesome. Cheers, guys. There we go. We found some new fans next to us.
From the United States.
From the United States. And you can see the amount of flies, and especially now that the wildebeest, even the local migration has arrived, the fly numbers will increase. And we've had late rain, so lots of breeding of flies. And I definitely think these lions are far more zen than the Kruger lions, because they are able to just put up with all those biting flies on their schnoz at all times. Oh, looks like she's tucked in and going to have a little nap. Now, less than 100 meters from her is the closest wildebeest, and I think she will be hoping that these wildebeest, and they do, especially the males, chase each other around and make lots of noise, and hopefully they'll get distracted and wander into her. The position she's in at the moment is quite good, because it could be anything might wander into her, but she does face this really big problem at the moment, that when she does eventually catch something, the safe game here, they're definitely busier. Well, probably not busier, just it's much easier to see them, just due to the open nature. And of course we'll be able to see a lot more interactions, and their behavior will be slightly different because of the ecosystem we're in. There's this constant sound around us. And we're definitely learning how to speak wildebeest since we've been here. There's quite a few different calls that they make. And you've probably found, I think, that the most interesting call is when the wildebeest are trying to get lucky. So normally it's just, nah, just, where you? I'm saying, where you? Where you? Where you? And then when they're trying to get lucky, it's like, come here. And quite often they fail, and they miss. And then when they see another male charging towards their group of females, it's more of like, ah! I suppose you can imagine sort of a rugby player or football player charging in to make an attack. What have you spotted, Dave?
No, just the wildies.
Just the wildies. Where are you? Where are you? Well, probably the two lone bulls like that are going, where are the girls? Where are the girls? Where are the girls? Or, why don't I have girls? Why don't I have girls? Yeah, they look a little young. So it's a really interesting to watch, because the whole dynamic is completely different to the wildebeest in South Africa, where you have those territorial bulls who will mark out their patch. So here the territorial bulls are constantly moving because the ladies are moving, and you got to keep up with the ladies, and it is quite challenging because there is a lot of competition. Hi Mita, who's 8 years old. Mita is wondering, do the wildebeest come from one place? No, they don't, Mita. They come from various different places. These wildebeest around here come from the north of us, and they go up towards the foothills of the mountain range to the north of us, and that's where they graze during the green season. And then as it dries out and less rain, they move down to the Mara plains in this area. And the other wildebeest will migrate much further, and they don't all migrate together, so there's probably 3 or 4 different lines of wildebeest, but probably by the end of July, they're all going to be spread throughout the 170,000 hectares odd that is the Masai Mara. So they're far more spread out when they're in the Serengeti, but when they are here, they are literally packed into this tiny area, and it makes for one of the greatest spectacles on earth, and we are so excited to be able to share this with you. Now, this lioness doesn't look like she's going to do too much, and I saw some vultures landing not too far away, so I'm going to probably come back to her, but I'm going to bumble towards the vultures. In the meantime, Byron has got one of the most beautiful birds of prey on Djuma.
Do indeed, Brent, a beautiful fish eagle sitting, scanning over Chitwa Dam. I can hear the hardy-dar in the distance calling, and still a lot of hippo in the dam. The dam is full, just as I thought. But just look at that beautiful fish eagle up there, and wonderful light on it now too. one of my favorite eagles, the fish eagle. And then you see where these, a lot of hippo, all just in the center, off to my right. They are enjoying the, well, I'm surprised, they probably return to the water during the course of the evening, but I do think that these hippo at some point will leave the water and they'll go and bask on the bank in the sun, because that's how the hippo warm themselves up, especially in winter. Oh, the glare coming off the water is quite bright at the moment. Very peaceful here. I love sitting around the dams. What's that over there? Just scanning. While we sit here, it's nice to scan around and see what you can find. I heard something in the distance, far away. It sounded like a very upset elephant. I wonder what that was. A lot of Egyptian geese around here too. Just on the banks, moving around. We see a lot of Egyptian geese out here. Look at all those heads of the hippo. Actually, there's some Egyptian geese with some goslings. Look at that, those little ones. That's so cute. Little family. Yeah, the Egyptian geese calling too. It's that sound that you can hear now. Look at those, that's wonderful. Violet, you asked, is the fish eagle a very tall bird, similar to some of the eagles that you have in the US? Well, Violet, this probably looks, you might be thinking this looks similar to the eagle that you have in the US, the American bald eagle, and they do look very similar in color. And the fish eagle, it's reasonably tall. It's not, it's not a small bird of prey at all. It's quite big, actually, the fish eagle. I'll tell you now exactly how tall it is. It's easier to show you, but the fish eagle is about 68 centimeters tall. There you can see it's sitting quite upright, but to give you an idea of how tall that is, let me show you. Fish eagle is about, I would say, it's about that tall if it had to be sitting in front of me. 60, 70 centimeters, about that. That's a big bird. That's a big bird, a very, very big bird. So it is tall. It's difficult to gauge the height of these birds or the size of these birds from the distance that we are at, but they are very big. I had a wonderful sighting of another bird of prey recently that we do get in this area too. Saw it in the Kalahari, the tawny eagle. Now, we see a lot of tawny eagles around here, but this tawny eagle, for some reason, was very relaxed, and it was perched on a branch eye level with the vehicle, and it was reasonably close to us, very close actually, and I got to really see how big that tawny eagle is up close, and how large the talons are. Also, beautiful bird of prey. These birds of prey, these eagles, are all in the range of about 60, 70, 80 centimeters. So that's bigger ones like a Marshall and that are quite large, 80 centimeters, 82 centimeters, I think, and the crowned eagle also big. So all very, very big birds. What's flying over there? Is that a hornbill? Yep, just a glimpse of a hornbill flying in the distance. Pause, you asked if we get black crows in Africa. Now we do indeed. And I actually saw some now on this last trip in the areas that we're in. You do find them in areas that especially close to rural areas, communities and that, because the crows are scavenger birds. They also pick on any bits and pieces of food they can find anywhere. Now they let me just see. So we get one that I saw recently was a Cape crow. These there we go, black crow. Can you see it there? There we go. So that was one that I actually saw on this trip now. But so we do get the Cape crows around. They occur through most parts of South Africa. But we also get pied crow, which is the black and white one, and then we also get a raven. We get a species of raven. Just trying to see the white-necked raven, which is a much larger bird, also found in parts of South Africa. But we do indeed get different crow species. The pied crow and the Cape crow are the two more common ones that we see around. But again, they're not really meant to be. If you go back in history, the crows were probably introduced. So they actually a pest. They're not meant to be around. Kirk, the fish eagles don't only eat fish. They are obviously expert fishermen, and they do often catch fish flying over the water and dropping their talons in and catching the fish. However, Kirk, I have seen fish eagles feeding on carrion, so carcasses, dead animals on the banks of rivers and that before. I have seen them feeding on it. Fish eagles still sitting there. So they do scavenge a little bit too from time to time, but they do predominantly their diet consists of fish, but I have seen them feeding on carrion and on carcasses before. Starting to warm up quite nicely now. Lovely sitting here in the sun. Actually going to take my jacket off, I think. I was layered up this morning. I wasn't sure how cold it would be. It was chilly, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, so I was nice and warm. One of my friends teased me about my gloves, but the gloves are to keep my hands warm. That's so I don't think she should tease me. Maybe it's again because the rangers aren't as tough as they used to be, so we've had to resort to wearing more clothing and gloves to keep our hands warm. Very peaceful around these dams. I think what I'm going to do is move away from the dam now and see what else we can find. See if I can find more of those elephant that we heard in the distance. Taylor's still driving around. Let's see which area she's in and if she's managed to find anything.
Well, I've got some exciting news for all of you. In fact, we haven't found anything just yet since we left our giraffe. But as I went around the corner, we found male leopard tracks. How nice is that? Big male leopard tracks too. So they came straight west and went towards, what is that road called? Vulture's Nest. We haven't been able to pick them up since. So what road we're on at the moment is we're on Ingwe Alley, one of my favorite roads, and I just wanted to turn around because we've had some magical sightings in here, and I actually wanted to tell Ferg too because he said these are really beautiful marulas, and I agreed with him. And Fur, can you guess which marula we've had Karula and her 2 cubs in? Can you guess? That one behind there. You're quite correct. We have had a sighting with Karula and Hosanna and Shongile in that tree just behind the tall one with all the branches extending out to the sides. So these are perfect leopard trees. But now what we're doing is we are checking the trees too. But I'm checking the ground because I'm trying to figure out if this leopard came in this direction or if he's maybe just sat down somewhere on the edge of the drainage line. And often it's so thick, as we know, it's impossible to see. So Rexon has also just moved into the area. He was definitely quite curious when I mentioned male leopard tracks. So I asked him if he would go and check the last tracks that I had. Because what he could do is he could put his tracker out on those tracks and see if he gets lucky that way. Because I didn't see anything coming out on Vulture's Nest, but there are some sections of the road that are quite difficult to navigate on. Well, not navigate on, to see tracks. I don't know why I said that. I meant to say to see footprints. That's what I actually meant. But nothing so far. Still just checking the ground. It's nice and soft here. There's a couple in Impala. None of them seem to be alarming just yet. I haven't heard any of the birds shouting about. This is a good spot, this road. I think we're going to see lots of things as we come into winter because there's some mud wallows. That might, they've actually all dried up now, so maybe not so much. In terms of shelter or wind, this is a great road. Oh, there's some kudu. Just in the distance. There's actually an entire family of them. There's a whole lot of them. Yeah. So Ferg and I are looking at 2 different animals. So there's lots here. There's impala as well, but they're quite far away. They're slowly moving this side. And then we've got a whole bunch of kudu. Hello girl, feeding on a buffalo thorn. And they're going to eat all those leaves until they're completely gone and there is nothing else left out here. Then they'll have to move on to the less favorable leaves, but very delicately picking those leaves off one by one. It always amazes me how they don't prick their nose, because I can't imagine their nose is quite tough in terms of skin. I think it would be very sensitive. And off she goes. She's had enough of that now. Oh, my beautiful girl. And there's a couple of antelope all just scattered out in this thick bush. So not only is it great for feeding, but it also is providing cover, especially during the day. Animals can conceal themselves around there. There's water in the drainage line just south of us. There's the impala that Ferg was talking about. And there's a whole herd of them, but it's quite hard to believe. That's just how well hidden they are at the moment. Just seeing the tops of them. And this seems to be like a very peaceful area at the moment. Actually, I'm going to let you all have a listen to all the birds that have just started calling now. It's quite beautiful. Isn't that lovely? Scanning the area, making sure there's nothing trying to stalk her coming from the distance. Now, Vicky, you're wondering, since we've been talking about birds quite a bit over the last few drives, actually, you're wondering if I have any tips on how to start a bird list. Well, Vicky, I think the easiest thing to do is, as we're sort of driving around and you hear us mention birds' names, perhaps write them down on a piece of paper. And then once you've got those names, because we'll talk about the most common birds, with obviously the exception of us mentioning some of the rarer ones and going into detail about them. So like that grey-headed bush shrike, it's not necessarily rare in terms of that the numbers are quite low or endangered. It's just a difficult one to find and to actually get a decent sighting on. So I think do that. Every bird that we sort of mention, if you can, just jot them down, and then from there perhaps if you've got a bird book, it'd be a great idea to maybe get a bird book of the birds of southern Africa. And once you've got those names, then go to them, go and identify them in your book and look for different sort of features that stand out to you most. Obviously learning the calls is something that you can do a little bit later, but try and identify them then by sight. And then eventually you'll put 2 and 2 together. The names will be so familiar, and because you've gone over the birds that we mention frequently, so for instance like the various starlings that we get you, all the different doves and pigeons and the lapwings and the franklins and spurfowls, sort of go and have a look at all those ones to start off with, and then once you've got that down, of course we'll just keep adding every time it's a new bird that we put on screen for you. Write that down, give it a number, and then have a look at your images, and eventually you'll be able to learn it. Right, who's shouting here? Let's go and see who's shouting in the distance. See what animal sounded. Who are you? You calling here? Let's see if we can spot them. Seeing lots of hornbills. I can see a crested barbet. See if we can get this crested barbet on camera. I think it's going to be quite nice. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go sneak forward. And basically the birds are just moving around in this thicket. I think we've just arrived at a bird party, to be honest. I'm going to try and roll in once we get over this bump. Oh, there's the barbet. Can you see him just in here? And go back a little bit more. He's just sitting in here, the barbet. If you just go to where my finger is, it should be there. There we go. Here he is, just sitting amongst the leaves. See, it's quite difficult. Do you see that? It was very difficult to spot it because it was just sitting in the shade. Now it's just ducked out of frame. It just dropped down. It must have seen something moving. It should come back up again. Let's see where it's going to land next. And of course, you've got to be patient with these animals. They are going about their day. They're trying to get as much food as quick as they can. So they don't really care about us, about putting them on camera. They stay around for as long as they think is necessary. I think he's... Actually, maybe he could have flown away behind this whole thicket. Let me quickly go around. Where's our little barbet? Oh, he's in the... Are you hopping around in the ground? No, I've lost it now. Okay. Our birds have got... Oh no, there it is. Let's have a quick look because it's so beautiful. I'm going to go... Is that a good shot? You got it in there. I'm just going to just down and to the right, I think. Have you seen him again? He's still just sitting in there. I can't show you because it's difficult. If we zoom out and maybe spot him with your eye, because he's quite fairly easy to see with your eye. I can roll backwards. No, there he is. Okay, this is not working. Our barbet is not cooperating, as do birds do. But let's go across to Kenya now with Brent, and he's got a whole herd of wildebeest.
Well, we're playing the patience game with this single lioness. There's so many animals around her. We are hoping that one of these male wildebeest goes meh, 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 into her clutches. As you can see, there's a few of them just behind her to the right that have been chasing each other around a bit, and hoping that that lot might come a bit closer. They seem to forget that they've seen a lion. Oh, there's one for the bird list as well, for those Egyptian goose. Well, one I think you've all seen at Djuma, but for the Kenya list at least. Now she's in a good spot there. If she just still keeps her head down during the day, I'm pretty sure a wildebeest will stumble upon her. Now, as I said, there's so many animals around here. Julie is wondering how often will lionesses be on their own. But Julie, it all depends. In this area, it's not that uncommon. There's just so much food, so it's not too much problem. Dave, are you ready for a challenge?
Yeah.
Wire-tailed swallows. Wait, they're going to come back around in front of us. Another one for the birdless. Here they come. Oh! Riding the winds. Boom! Yeah, they're a bit quick, I think. And, oh no, where did that other one go? Now, as I said, you constantly have to have your binoculars up because you never know what might be. Oh, there's Howard running towards the crowned cranes. Don't think it's actually after the crowned cranes. It's heard something, probably other hyenas somewhere. So there. on their way. Where are you off to? So I think most of those hyenas we saw earlier have made their way into the marsh, and they're just, you know, lying nice and comfortably in some nice wet mud, cooling down. And most of them we saw had really big fat bellies. Lots of zebra around. Lots of wildebeest. So out here, and it doesn't mean they're not part of a pride, but there is just so much food around that they are able to survive on their own. Although I think this is a slightly more difficult area, just because there is a hyena den close by here, and there are lots of hyenas, so it can make it a little bit more challenging. But the hyenas will get full, and she will get her chance. There we go. We got some Tommies, some zebra. Now let me just move the car a tiny bit back, Dave. So how many species are we on from here? Let me just think about this quickly. So we've got Thompson's gazelle, Grant's gazelle, wildebeest, zebra, lion, hyena, jackal. What am I missing? I know we had more. Let's start again. Oh, topi. We had 9 earlier, didn't we? Oh, warthog. Warthog. Now we're going to add from one. I mean, we've barely moved 100 meters since we've come into Musiara Gate. And let me just do this. So we're on 9 species in about 500 meters. Now we're going to the other side of the marsh there, Dave. You see there's a whole bunch of animals together.
Yeah.
And we can get some waterbuck to make it number 10. Let me just have a look. Where the waterbuck? Keep going. There's a waterbuck. And you can see quite far away, but still that's species number 10. Now let me just double check where it was. A little bit more to the left, Dave. A little bit more, little bit more, little bit more. Right? Am I being mad? Yes, keep going. There it is. There it is. A nice bull eland for number 11. So let's start from the eland and work our backwards. Eland, waterbuck, topi, zebra, wildebeest, Thompson's gazelle, Grant's gazelle, lion, hyena, jackal, warthog. I still feel like I'm missing something. What do you think, Dave? 11.
Count the zebra.
Yes, I counted the zebra, Dave. Ah, yes, wait, I did see another one. I've just got to find him. There he is. Okay, back off to the right, Dave. Okay, keep going. A little bit more. And I think it's there. Can you see the one hyena standing there somewhere? Yes, to the right. And zoom in. There we go. There's the backs of some buffalo bulls. And there's a hyena doing exactly what I think the rest of them have done. Got into the marsh to lie in the nice, cool, wet mud. So buffalo is species number 12 in 500 meters this morning. I think we can. How many mammal species do you think we can get today? Both safaris. So we're on 12. Think we can get to 20? 20 mammal species. Oh, we're going to have to work hard to get to 20. We're going to have to work very hard to get to 20, but I think it's possible. He says he saw a baboon. I didn't see any baboons. Did you see any baboons? Maybe on the other side of the marsh. There's topi, zebra. Ah, Stanley, you are correct. Okay, Dan, a second. Let me just guide you in. Where was that baboon now with my binoculars? Okay, you see this Tommy closest to us here? And you see the Tommy closest to us? Come out, come out. Okay, where the cranes? Okay, keep coming right. I'm sorry, left. That was my fault. Normally I blame the cameraman, but that. Okay, there we go. So zoom into that Tommy and go slightly to the right. A little bit more to the right. Keep going right. There we go. Well done, Dave. Eland. We forgot the eland, so we're on 14 already. I counted the eland apparently. No. So we're on 13 with the baboons. Ooh, 7 more to go. I think that's quite a challenge for a day to get that many species in a single day. I mean, we definitely have to top up on some predators, you know, cheetah, leopard. What else are we missing? Serval, caracal, side-striped jackal. Oof, that would be a humdinger of a day. Do we count human beings? Nah. They are a mammal. And of course, a boar reedbuck is actually one I have been looking for, especially around the edge of the marsh here. Do you see those birds that just landed in front of us, Darby? Where are they? There. A little bit. There we go. The Fuzzman was wondering what birds are around. Aha. There's one. A wattled lapwing. And we are quite far from the marsh, but there are some other birds around. I'm just going to have a look. So we've got wattled lapwing. Up with the binoculars. And, black-headed heron, Dave. So just move left from the wattled lapwings towards that little bush. Keep going. Okay, to frame about now. There we go. Black-headed heron. Now, wouldn't be amazing. There's moving. He's spotting something. Can he get it? Oh, I'm not sure. Yes. And strangely enough, the martial eagles in this area, apparently the black-headed herons are one of their favorite things to eat. So that's very cool. Did we get the banded mongoose on camera earlier? Or was it when we were having gremlins? Oh, we had gremlins. Damn it. I thought it was 15. Okay. So what other birds? Fuzzman and Sparkles. So we've got the black-headed heron. We do have the crowned cranes, of course. Oh, they're quite far, but there's some spur-wing lapwings. About there. Let's just have a look. Okay, the zebra. Alright, left of the zebra next to the wildebeest. Shamsung's wondering how my bird list left. There we go, in front of the wildebeest, some spur-wing lapwings. They take the same sort of ecological niche as the blacksmith lapwings do in southern Africa. We don't, of course, have any blacksmith lapwings, so they fill the same place around the edges of water holes and streams and rivers. There's some crowned cranes. And there are some egrets and stuff in the marsh, but we're just a little bit too far for them, I think. Samsung's wondering how my bird list is coming. It's coming along smashingly. And now that we're in Paka, which is far more open, we can definitely help increase everyone's live bird list. Look how cute those warthogs are. They're really enjoying the morning sun. They're actually sleeping. Their eyes are completely closed. Oh, comfy warty. And I can hear a rufous-naped lark. I can't see one. Now again, the wind. Oh, hummercorp. There we go. That's another bird for the bird list. And they're actually making more hummercorps at the moment. Okay, they just stopped making more hummercorps. Okay, see where the wildebeest are jogging? Oh, they've disappeared into the grass. But I only saw them because the one was on top of the other. There is a lilac-breasted roller if you go a little bit to the left of that there, Dave. I think he's a bit far. Don't worry. Oh no, he's flying, that's why he's moved. You see he's coming towards us. Where that termite mound is? He's bloop. Ozzy behind the pole. Okay. Oh, Pucker. I hope you get us home today. Okay, there we go. One more. Lilac-breasted roller. You got him. Middle, center frame. Here we go, another one for the Mara bird list, and we'll just keep them coming. Now, I'm sort of in two minds whether we're going to stay with this lioness or not, so while we decide what to do next, it seems like Taylor is on some leopard tracks.
We had big male leopard tracks not so long ago. We were telling you around in Yala Road South, and I thought we'd try and anticipate this leopard's move, and I've picked up some more. I've driven up and down now quite a bit. Now, when you look at them, you're probably going to think, "Ah, Taylor, what are you talking about? These are not fresh leopard tracks," but I promise you they are. Here they are. This is one track in here. Let me just quickly outline it for you so that you can see that there's actually a leopard track. Here's the padding on the back of the foot. There's one lobe, there's two lobes, there's the third one. And then the 1, 2, 3, 4 toes that we see that are visible in the track. Now, it's just because the sand is quite thick and quite coarse. Even if I tread in the sand, the footprint doesn't look particularly neat and easy to see. I mean, this is my track here. It makes it look like my feet are very small. But anyways, he's walking up and down. He goes along here and then he comes back again. I don't know which leopard it could be. This is Tingana's route, this particular route. But there's also two young upstarts that are walking around here, and they've both got very big feet. So I'm just doing a check, and I think we'll go back the way we came again. I think what I eventually will do is I'm going to jump out of the car and walk this drainage line just down below us. Maybe somebody is sitting in there. Should I turn around? Oh, I've got to turn the tank around. Ooh. I have to go this way around. Now, Mita, who's been asking lots of questions this morning, and she's only 8 years old, you were wondering, would I be able to keep up with Tingana if he was moving around? Give him my best go. I suppose Ferg and I did a very good job the other morning, yesterday morning when we had him. He was really moving through some thick stuff, and like I said, it wasn't just because we couldn't drive through it. It was mainly because the elephants had broken a whole lot of trees and were really going to damage the car if we went over some of those bits of vegetation. So we gave it a skip, and then of course we lost him when we eventually found a route that could get us around. It was just too late. But I think at this time of the morning, you probably find that the cats have maybe settled down already. Possibly Tingani. He's up quite early in the evening. He spends quite a bit of time up, but then he always goes to bed earlier, first thing in the morning. But I'm just checking all these marula trees. Now, there are lots of impala and kudu around. We've seen some of them, so that doesn't mean that there's no leopards here. Like I said, he could just be down in this drainage line. The tracks come all the way here, and then they stop and they come back again. So I don't know what scent was maybe been picked up as he was moving around, marking his territory. But again, I don't know which leopard it is. If we find it, that would obviously give us a helping hand into identifying it, actually seeing the cat. So I think that's what we're going to do. Well, not we. I'm the one who's going to be getting out of the car. I think I'll walk this entire drainage line from one end to another. It won't take me very long, and hopefully we'll be able to find a cat. But in order for me to do that, that entails me getting out of the car. I think he's here, because I drove up Philemon's cut line, and I also drove towards Quarantine, and I checked around the Bushbrae site, and I couldn't see any tracks heading that way, and that's normally the way that we would go. But yes, so that's what our plan is going to be, is to walk this drainage line. We can't drive through it. I think we would really break the car then, can you imagine? We'd probably end up upside down and not in a very good way if we had to go off-roading in that drainage line. Pretty stuck. Probably get pretty stuck. Right, I'm going to go and walk this drainage line now and see if I can find us a spotted cat. Let's go back across to Byron, who's also again just bumbling about enjoying the warm air.
I'm enjoying the sun indeed, Taylor. The warm sun warming things up. Good luck. I hope you managed to find some signs of that male leopard you're tracking. Maybe he's in the drainage line somewhere. I'm not sure. We haven't had too much luck with anything else. I did hear some guinea fowl alarm calling and went and had a look, drove around, couldn't see anything. I'm not sure. It was very, very thick area, and unfortunately we just couldn't see anything. I didn't see any tracks around there. I was trying to scan the trees because often they'll also alarm call at birds of prey, like the African hawk eagles, because the African hawk eagles hunt them. So could have been one of those, and I didn't see the guinea fowls sitting up in the trees. I actually couldn't see them. I think they were just in the long grass, so I don't think it was a predator walking through that area, because usually if it is, they'll go and they'll sit up on the trees and alarm call. But if there's a bird of prey around, they might alarm call and try and hide in the scrub. Now, because it's a start of the new day, from the animals from global warming, so not really. I must be honest. I haven't seen any effects so much down here, and I don't know how much of the global warming affects us, to be honest. In the years that I've been working in the bush, I would say I haven't really seen an effect, and I've been doing this for quite some time now. I think also the seasons tend to change, but that's normal. So we've had severe drought, we've also had severe floods, we've had heat, we've had a lot of cold. This winter at the moment feels like a normal winter for me so far, but it's still only June. It's going to get a bit colder, I think July. So we'll see. But I haven't seen any effect from an animal perspective in terms of global warming. Not that I can see. I think it affects areas like the polar ice caps and that a lot worse than it affects us. So nothing that we have really seen being out here. You know what it is time for, though, I think, while we are here chatting about warming? It's coffee time. Craig, you know? Oh, it smells good too. No, all of you were teasing me and joking around about the coffee, but it is quite nice to have a little cup of coffee in the morning with guests. So seeing as all of you are at home or wherever you are, if you're at work, maybe you're having a cup of coffee, so I'll join you and have a cup of coffee with you. And while I do that, let's head back to Brent is in the Mara. I wonder if he's got anything to drink out there.
Well, here we go. We've got number 15 on the mammal list. Hiding in the waterweed is a hippopotamus. And also for our birders, we've got some African jacanas and a grey heron. So we've seen black-headed and grey heron today. And we're a bit closer to the... Hey, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Waiting to spike a poor frog or fish that happens to come close to it. And we're a bit closer to those buffaloes now that we saw at a distance. And around the buffaloes, there's also some birds. So keeping the mammal people and the bird people happy today. So there we go. There's a yellow-billed stork and some sacred ibis. Oh, that mud looks sticky, old man. I'm also just checking, you never know what other bird species are on the edge of a marsh like this. We might get lucky with a crake. Oh, wattled starlings flying in. Going to land around the buffalo, I'm guessing. Or they are not going to fly over the buffalo. So wattled starlings, that's another one. No oxpeckers on these buffalo. I suppose with so many animals to choose from, to land upon, buffalo aren't as important. Oh, he's a grumpy looking sod, that one. He has not taken his eyes off us since we stopped. Okay, let's see what else. So we forgot one other species, which is mammal species, which is why we're on 15. There are some impala around that we did see earlier that I completely forgot about. Here we go. Hello, impalas. There's just so much going on. It's so wonderful. So this is the famous marsh that we're on here. Oh, what was that behind there? It's a spurwing goose as well. There's another bird species for everyone. Spurwing goose.
This one, yeah.
Just come to the ones to the left slightly. Those are a bit better. There we go, a bit more. There we go. Oh, a sacred ibis flying through, but there we go. Spurwing goose, or spurwing geese, should I say. There's more than one. And then we've got a double whammy on the bird front, on the stump in front of us. We have a Ruppel's starling, it looks like. Let me just wait for him to turn his eye. Yes, is that Ruppel's in the front? Or they're both glossies? No. I think they might both be glossies. Yes, they are. They're lesser blue-eared glossy starlings. Enjoying the morning sunshine. And of course a whole host of mammal species around us that we are counted on already. Oh, what's happening with that hippos? There's a little one in there. There's a baby one in there. In that mud, he just rolled over. I said you always got to look very carefully around wetlands like this. Not the most ideal birding climate with the wind blowing, but you never know. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you've got any questions. Oh, bird flying, a batelier by the looks of things. Yes, it is. You got him there, Dave. Another one for the bird list this morning. I wonder how many we're on. Could someone let me know? Hashtag Safari Live. Let me know how many birds we've seen. James is wondering, are there any bird species that occur both in Kenya and South Africa but with different coloration? Not that I've seen. Oh, actually, I lie. I'm fibbing. There's a very cool one which we see a lot around our camp. And I will get it up for you now while Dave is doing a wonderful job following that batelier. Okay. Now, it's a bird we see at Djuma, and it is the speckled mousebird. But the cool thing about the speckled mousebird here is they have a white cheek. So there's a different color variation. Oopsie, there we go. It's quite minor, but there we go. Here they all have white cheeks. In South Africa, they lack that white cheek. Speckled mousebird. We see them a lot around our camp, not so much down here in the open grassland. They prefer a little bit of forestation around. Okay, now let's see, what else can we see from here? Let me just use my far lookers. The baboons, waterbuck. I'm trying to see if we can find any other birds hiding. Oh, they're far away though. And they're moving too fast. Some swallows. Okay, I'm going to have to move quickly to answer Lauren from Illinois' question about the differences between the gazelle species. Oh wait, we're being charged first. Hi guys. So this is males running around being nutcases, very similar to their human counterparts when chasing women. Okay, now where did they go? There were some Grant's gazelles quite close by. Okay, beyond the baboons, there are some Grant's gazelles. Unfortunately, the light is quite harsh, so I'm just trying to see if there's a Tommy close to them. There's not. But the Grant's gazelles are quite a lot bigger than the Tommies, and they're a lot paler. Do you see them, Dave? So just to the left of that wildebeest you are following, behind the baboons. So there we go. There's the Grant's gazelles. Horns are much bigger. Their body size is much closer to an impala than the... Oh, there's a Tommy behind that Grant. So you can see the Tommy in the distance. Far more boldly coloured, with that black stripe being very pronounced on the Tommies. So Grants are paler and much bigger, but just under the size of an impala, where there is the Tommies. And they also form quite a large pool. Fight with you. You are such a grumpy looking.
Oh dear, we just seem to have lost Brent there for a moment. I'm sure they'll be back soon. Sounds like they're having a wonderful morning, a lot going on there. I'm still driving around, scanning, trying to find any signs of predators. Taylor doesn't sound like she's had any luck just yet. She's still moving around. Oh, there's a little dwarf mongoose. There's a little predator for us. Just sitting on that termite mound. I think there's a few of them around here. Just enjoying the sun. It is so nice sitting in this winter sun as it starts warming the day up. I've told this story before, but I love telling it. It's about a friend of mine who was guiding, and it was legitimately a friend of mine. It wasn't me, but he was guiding some guests, and winter's morning like today, and they were sitting watching. I think it was some giraffe actually, and he was talking to them, very peaceful sighting, and I think he asked them a question. And he turned around and everybody on the vehicle had fallen asleep. They're all sitting in the sun, enjoying it, warming up, and they all dozed off. And they were sitting there for a few minutes, and I think it was just so peaceful and warm and calm. So we liked to tease him about it. We just said it was because he was boring. Daniel, all the way in Scotland, and Daniel, you wanted to know what predators these mongoose have, these dwarf mongoose. So, Daniel, the dwarf mongoose specifically would have predators like snakes. Snakes might try and catch them, but predominantly birds of prey, African wildcats, if they did see them during the day. So different birds of prey like the eagles and hawks and that, the African wildcat, or what else? You know what? A leopard, if it was walking around and caught a glimpse of a mongoose, would possibly try to go for it. Those would be the main predators, I would say, for the dwarf mongoose and for other mongoose species. Predominantly, I think the one that's top of the list would be birds of prey, so various hawks and eagles. They would be something that these little creatures really have to look out for. And quite a few of them foraging around for food. Can hear them moving through the grass, can't see them. Dear Julie, you asked the lifespan of a mongoose. Now, Julie, I'm not too sure. I'm trying to think. I don't think it's that long. Julie, I think some of these dwarf mongoose, it's It's maybe around 4 to 6 years, possibly. Maybe longer than that. Some of the bigger mongoose maybe up to about 10 years. I'd say I would hazard a guess at that, but I'm not entirely sure, Julie. So if anybody else has found anything on the lifespan of a mongoose, I do think it varies with each species depending on the size and that. But heard some elephant up ahead. But I think like I say, Julie, maybe between 5 and 10 years, somewhere around there. I'm not, but as I said, I'm not entirely sure. So I'll try and find out for you, Julie, and I'll get back to you. And see if I can read up on anything on the lifespan of a mongoose. So let's go and see if we can find those elephant. And while I do that, as I was saying earlier, it's a new day, so back to the start of Byron's tip of the day. I know a lot of you have been asking and said I better have thought of tips of the day while I'm away. So I have been thinking a bit about it, and I think today's tip of the day is more about traveling to Africa, and especially South Africa. And I think my tip is if you come out, and especially most people would come out for safari and that, but I also think that you should try and include a trip down to the Cape. It's not far, so Cape Town area and that. And I say that because it really is beautiful and it's so different, and it's a nice break from a safari, purely because the safaris, you're up early in the mornings, you're on the vehicles for a lot of the time. So Cape Town, for example, is really lovely scenery. You get to walk, enjoy the scenery, the mountains, and also wine tastings, the winelands. There's a lot to do down there. There's whale watching. There's a lot of activities, and it's a wonderful addition to any safari. There's the elephant that I heard. So that's my tip of the day. If you do come out, try and include something like that, because you definitely will enjoy it. It's just that elephant hiding in the shade over there. I wonder if there aren't some more up ahead. I'm going to drive on. Let's just see if I can't find the rest of the herd. The road does bend and go down into a bit of a dip, so I'm hoping that they've gone down there. Let's go have a look. Just hold on a second. Stick with me for 2 minutes. Let's just see. Herd. Oh, great. This is wonderful. I'm just going to approach slowly. Now again, these elephants digging, it looks like digging for water. Hold on, I'm just going to look at this now. This is different from this morning, because this morning we had the elephant who was higher than us, and we were looking up at him, and now we're looking down on the elephant because they're just below us. This is great. Some of them being a bit playful. And you see, I always say this, you can drive around for a while and see very little, and then all of a sudden things start happening around you and you can bump into anything really. Herd of elephant. I think the important thing is to just be on the lookout for anything. Listen to the bush. You'll often find creatures around every corner really. Look how they're pushing on another. Teresa from New York. Hello Teresa, hope it's a wonderful day in New York. It looked like you've been having wonderful weather out that side of the world. And Teresa, you wanted to know, do the elephant lie down to sleep. And yes, Teresa, they do indeed. We've actually seen it a few times on Safari Live. We've seen how the elephants lie down and rest and actually sleep. Not for very long though, Teresa, but they will lie down and rest from time to time. Maybe half an hour or an hour. They don't rest. They don't need the rest like we need to rest and sleep. But these animals do. The elephant do sleep, lie down. I've seen big bulls, and actually we had one. Have a look. This one's having a seat here right next to us. What was it? Sat down and got up and moved again. So Teresa, I have seen once at the lodge that I used to work at. We were, I think we had just got back from our morning safari, and the guests came and called us and said, there's a dead elephant in front of their lodge, their room. So we were quite concerned. We quickly ran over and had a look, and it was a huge bull elephant that just decided to go and sleep in front of their room. It was down a bit of an embankment in the riverbed, and he had laid down against a bit of a termite mound. So he wasn't completely flat, but it was just perfect for him to lie down and rest. And he lay there for about an hour, but we could just see him breathing, so we knew he was still alive. And then he got up and moved on. So it was amazing to see a big bull elephant like that lying down. I'm just going to move forward a little bit to the rest of the group. I'm just going to go around the corner here. See some of those youngsters still very playful, using their trunks. Look at that. They are all in front of us again, digging in this area looking for water. I think I'm going to sit here a little bit longer with these elephant. Let's quickly head over to Taylor, just find out how her search for Tingana is going, and then we'll see you all shortly again.
We just had a brown-headed kingfisher that we were trying to show you, but those kingfishers are shy birds and it didn't want to stick around. Now, I went off and we walked the drainage line, but there were no tracks in that drainage line at all, which is a little bit baffling. So we came out and then we drove around and we drove on up Philemon's Dip towards Quarantine again and down Wahlberg's Road, checked Twin Dams. There's no tracks coming out, so this leopard must be laying in the block between Wahlberg's Road, Philemon's Dip, Twin Dams and the Jigga Road, Ingwe Alley. So I didn't see anything else moving about there. It's a massive block to go walking in. It would probably take me an hour to walk the entire block to check all the termite mounds and the big trees and things like that. So we didn't. We gave it a skip. But I'm just coming down here. And here is Rebecca's Road, just having a quick look around. Because what could have also happened is that leopard could have used the drainage system and just cut straight across. And we would maybe not even see the tracks because the sand is quite thick. So I'm just going to pull off the road, just triple check. No, it seems as though there were just some hyenas that were very busy around here. But we'll keep checking the trees. Fairly quiet in here. Now, as we drive along, we've been talking about routes of various animals, and Lara, you were actually wondering if lions and leopards use different routes in order to sort of, I suppose, avoid each other, was the gist of that. No, not necessarily. That all the various animals will use the same game paths or the roads that we have created in the bush. And so I've seen it before where you'll have a lion come through Mark and a little bit later a leopard will come past on exactly the same pathway. So I think it also just depends on, hello Kudu, I think it just depends on the typical animals, the time of them, you know, are they walking quite closely? Is one of them calling? Do they know that the other one is there? So it depends on a lot of different things, of course. But we're going to go back across to Byron now and observe some more elephant behavior.
Oh, Taylor, we are having so much fun watching these elephants. These youngsters are rolling around, pushing one another, lying down. Look at that. Oh, this is so wonderful. Interesting behavior. I think what they're basically doing a bit of a dust bath. Rolling around in the sand. I think also it's just the youngsters being very playful and one sitting on the other one. Look at this. Ooh. He's thrashing around, really enjoying rolling in the sand there. Probably got an itch on his back, is trying to scratch. I've never seen a young elephant roll around this much. Look at that. Isn't that cool? It's amazing. It's so wonderful. Just that interaction again, how playful they can be. And that's why elephants are one of my favorite animals, because they surprise you at times. There's always some interaction going on. And this whole herd is so relaxed with us at the moment. Tess, you say elephants are simply the best. They are indeed. Throwing some sand on themselves, dust bathing. That little one sneezed a bit, I think. Probably a lot of dust caught in the trunk there from all that rolling around. And it's just really wonderful just to sit and watch this. I mean, don't really have to say too much, I suppose. Just to see this interaction and behavior. Some of the adults are still just off to the left, and they were digging, and it looks like they did get a bit of water again. So this is a dry riverbed that we are in. And it did look like there was a bit of water there that they got to. Ruth, you asked, was that a tantrum or just rolling in the dirt? No, it was just rolling in the dirt. I don't think it was a temper tantrum. That elephant just saw this yesterday for water and finding it in the dry riverbed. The water table here is not too low, so there's still some clean water around that they can get to. Even though a lot of the dams that are full, I think there might be some nutrients in this water. Anyway, I'm going to sit here a little bit longer and see if they move off, but let's go back to Taylor and see where she's off to now.
We're just driving around, enjoying the warm sun, Byron. Not anything planned just yet, but I'm so glad that you're having a lovely elephant sighting. We have been so spoiled over the last few days with all the wonderful sightings of those grey giants. It's really quite nice. So I checked a little bit of Rebecca's. We are still on Rebecca's. I'm still checking Rebecca's, but nothing. There's a kingfisher. That sound? Is it? No, it's not. It's a squirrel. Oh my goodness! That is a very woodland not woodland, brown-hooded kingfisher call in the beginning. Is a squirrel just here? It looks like a little one. I'm going to see if I roll back. No. Oh, what was that? Oh. I think there was a slender mongoose. Was it a squirrel?
A squirrel.
It was another squirrel. There must be an entire family of squirrels living up in this marula tree. There was a couple of youngsters moving about there. Oh, you've got him. Well done, Ferg. That's great. That's a little squirrel. It's not a particularly old one, and there was one down in the grass that I was looking at. I thought it was a slender mongoose for a moment, hopping through all this dry stuff. I think it got a fright. It tried the freeze mechanism, which I think is exactly what the squirrel's doing at the moment. Or doesn't realize that we can see it. It's not particularly concealed up there, and it better be very careful hiding on an open branch like that, because that's a perfect spot for a lizard buzzard, no, not something of a lizard buzzard size, but dark chanting goshawks and of course gabar goshawks and all of those things would come through there. There's another one. See, there's a whole lot of them around here, and we'd come and snatch them up. That's so sweet. Now I just wish all those branches weren't in the way. Can you please move to a better view so we can have a nice sighting of you? But no. They're also looking for spots to try and warm themselves up in, I suppose. And the grey-headed bushshrikes are still all calling out this morning. Look at that there, they've disappeared now. There they are, you can just see them long tails. Careful, little ones. Now, they might also be going up there not only to just get the sun, maybe they're looking for little nice green shoots. Not shoots. Whoa! Oh my goodness, it jumped from the marula into the silver cluster leaf, and now it's running down the base of the silver cluster leaf. There we go. So we're seeing acrobatics from the squirrels this morning. That was a great leap. Now I suppose when they are feeling slightly threatened, that is a anti-predatory behavior that they can do. Is not only is they able to sort of scramble down a trunk of a tree pretty quickly, they can leap from one tree to another. Just as the bush babies, not anywhere near as talented as a bush baby. They can leap quite a far distance, but a squirrel, well, better than you and I could. So that was very nice. Let's see if there's any other squirrels perhaps around here, or any other birds. I wouldn't mind seeing a little raptor this morning. Actually, a dark chanting goshawk would be preferable. Now, Augustia, you're wondering how fast... Did you say how fast or how far? How fast do we drive when we're looking for animals? Well, it depends what animal that is. If you ask Brent and I, when we're chasing after wild dogs, as fast as what you need to go to keep up with them. That's like the exception to, of course, the rules. Otherwise, we normally drive between 20 and 30 kilometers an hour, somewhere around there. At the moment, I'm going actually even slower than that. I'm really just bumbling about. I'm trying to spot some birds and things that will be moving around in the shrubs. So, because that movement will be so subtle, you know, the leaf sort of fluttering from a bird jumping from branch to branch, or from a squirrel, you need to be going quite slowly to spot things. But I reckon a good game drive speed is probably around 20 kilometers an hour. Was that an interesting feather? Actually, I have an interesting feather. What did I do with it now? I picked one up when we went walking in the drainage line, but I've lost it. I'll try and find it. But there was one here on the side. Hey, Ferg.
Yeah,
did we drive over it? Oh, there it is. Let me grab it very quickly. But I need to also find this other feather, because that was a really pretty one, and I actually needed your help to try and figure out what feather it was. I don't slide and fall over. Oh, this is that terrible. Actually, I don't even know if I really want to pick it up. It's quite gross, in fact. Maybe. Let's have a look here. Let me get plugged in. Let me get myself all sorted. I don't know. It's a really gross feather. Right, let's do this. I want to show you. That is the ugliest feather I've ever seen. It is obviously not needed for that bird anymore. It would not be very useful. I can't imagine you'd be able to fly very well with a feather like this. Looks like it's seen much better days. Now, of this size, it's difficult to say what it could be. It could be a number of different birds. It could be from a batelier. It's got black and white on it. It could be from one of the vultures. It's a bit difficult to tell, just because it's missing half of the feathers, as you can see there. Right. Not very nice. We'll leave it as a mystery. But definitely one, maybe even a bustard. Or a korhan. One of those. It could quite easily be from then too. But very sandy. It's been on the floor for a long time. And I think that is where we're going to leave it. This feather does not make the collection. I have a feather collection. I collect all those different ones. And now, should we do a quick search here? Let's actually search through the car, because surely that feather couldn't have gone far. Looking on Tristan's box. I put it on Tristan's box. So it must have just fallen down here. No? I think we've lost it for good. Watch, I'll find it when we get back home. I'll totally find it. Okay, now let's put everything back then. Where's those mics gone? Okay. Bye, feather. Yeah, stay ugly, as Ferg says. I don't think it's going to get any prettier, that feather. So no, but the feather that I had anyway, it was lovely. It looked like it had only just fallen out of the bird, been pulled out from the bird this morning. You could still see where the down feathers were. It was so lovely and soft. But it was an unusual color. It was, I don't even know how to describe it. Let me actually show you a piece of grass that resembled the color of the feather. So this hare's tail, basically this color here. Let me put it over there. You can see that? It was like that, but slightly more tan, if that makes any sense. So not quite as red. This is a bit like a rhubarb red, if you will. But slightly just a little bit more tan than this. But it was an interesting color. And that was it. I'm obviously just using this as my palette at the moment. Right, let's carry on. Let's see. Very fluffy. I don't know what bird it could have been from. It was hard to say. And I couldn't find any more of them. I desperately searched as well to see if I could find more than just one to give me a better idea as to who it had come from. But I'll try and search for it again. It has to be down here somewhere. I'll just unpack the car when we get home a bit later. Byron is still sitting with his very happy elephants. Let's go and see what those calves are up to now.
They're all drinking, but there's one or two right next to us or behind us. Sorry, I just didn't want to raise my voice because this little one walked right behind us. And it's just over here next to us now. But these elephants are really enjoying this area. There's water, there's sand, there's a perfect little spot for them. How much water they found there. That's lovely. We've been so lucky. They've really just completely relaxed with us being here. They're not fazed by us at all. There's a beautiful old elephant right in front of us. Now, I wonder if this isn't perhaps the matriarch, the one straight ahead. You can see she's a much older elephant than the rest of them, and she's resting. You can see she's actually resting her trunk on the ground. She's leaning to one side. It's also a sign that it's just completely calm and relaxed. It's so beautiful. What a lovely sighting. And it's strange that young one is trying to suckle, and you can see it's quite an old elephant already. But I mentioned it yesterday too, how some of these younger elephants that are 5-6 years old, or between 4 and 6 years old, try and suckle, and it's interesting. Now this one, this one's probably that size, maybe around 3 or 4 years old, somewhere around there, I would say. But look, the rest of them are enjoying this water. They've walked right around us, completely calm. Dust bathing, then off to the water, then feeding. The whole group have just been moving around in this area. And they're very playful. There's some young elephants there that you can see pushing one another, possibly 2 young males, I'm not sure, I can't see from here. But again, just showing the playful side to the elephant. Oh, what a great little sighting for the end of the drive. Let's head over to Brent, who's still in the Mara, and he's apparently found some hippo basking in the sun.
Well, we've got some hippos moving upstream at probably one of the narrowest points I've seen in the Mara River. There is a bit of a standoff between them, but it seems to be peaceable. Now, the river is incredibly low this year, which is causing a bit of competition for space. Now, this particular spot where we are is actually a very popular crossing point for zebra and maybe for wildebeest later on in the year. And you can see there how the thousands of hooves have worn through the banks. Okay. Well, it seems like everything's becoming peaceable, and as we come towards the end of an amazing safari in South Africa and Kenya, and it has been absolutely spectacular, and we have loved sharing every second with you from both countries. So from myself and Dangerous Dave, and of course everyone in South Africa, Taylor and Byron and their respective cam-ops. It has been an absolute pleasure, and we can't wait to do it again in a few short hours, and who knows what wonders await. We're going to try and get to our 20 mammal species, but from us here in the Mara.